I like those away games. I like interacting with their fans, and, I like making them quiet.
Coach Herb always says, the hardest thing to do is recreate intensity and recreate something that you've done when you've done it at the highest level. It's hard to do it over, and we have to do that this week.
Inside Michigan Football is presented by Meyer. Hi again, friends, and welcome to another edition of Inside Michigan Football. Doug Karsh alongside the two-time captain and national champion John Jansen. And John, sluggish game, got the job done. Michigan gets a win on the road in the Big Ten on a day they had to overcome some adversity.
Yeah, they kept shooting themselves at the foot, whether it was a penalty, whether it was a guy lining up off sides, missed assignments. I mean, you could go down the list and really pick out every single guy and all of their mistakes. But if you're able to come away with a win, this is obviously the time that you want to do it. You don't want to have those mistakes against a team like Penn State or Ohio State. You can get over those here, and this is a valuable lesson to learn for this team. Every single team learns these lessons along the way. They were able to learn them in a win.
Well, the Wolverines cleaned it up later in the game, but they got off to a great start here. A 50-yard run by Blake Corman as we take a look at Jansen vision. This was a lot of all Blake Corum.
Well, it was. And when you see this play start, obviously the goal is to seal off the left side here. You've got an extra tight end over here. Great job by Ryan Hayes and Trevor Keegan all day long, except on this play, you start to see a little penetration. And as the tight end comes up, he just takes a bad angle. He's going to get undercut by this linebacker, allowing some penetration, and that's when the Blake Corman magic begins. You've got a guy right here in his face. And if you look at this, you've got another 1, 2, 3, a total of 4 players, and not much maize and blue. So Blake Corum says, you know what, I'm going to take things under my own care. And he makes 1-2 mix, look down the field, and all of a sudden you're going to have another miss here, 4, 5. And then we talk about the wide receivers blocking, a little whoop, going the other way. Right down here, Andrell Anthony, never slowing down. If he doesn't get this block, this is tackled probably on the 10-yard line, maybe the 15, but he keeps playing all the way to the end, and that's what causes him to, I think it was a touchdown, but they said down on the 1-yard line.
Well, he scored on the next play. Michigan led it 7-0. Indiana's first possession, Mike Barrett comes off the edge as an extra rusher and gets a sack, one of Michigan's best athletes on defense.
He is. He's got a lot of speed. Former quarterback. He's bulked up a little bit this year, but he still has a knack for getting after the quarterback. When you can dip a shoulder, when you can put pressure with an extra guy, and that's all they're trying to do right now. Jesse Minter's trying to create odds in Michigan's favor. You bring one more than they can block, and he's that one on this play.
The Wolverines, eventually this game was tied at 7 as Indiana got a touchdown, but here on a 2nd-1 play action, JJ finds Ronnie Bell, who had a great day.
Oh, Ronnie Bell is he's the ultimate leader of this team. He's obviously the captain. When they needed a first down, when they needed a big play, they went to Ronnie Bell, and this was no exception.
Jake Moody added a field goal to end off that drive. It was 10-7. Second quarter now, this was a big play. Indiana ran a pick play and got called for offensive pass interference. The second week in a row we've seen this.
Yeah, and this is interesting because they actually put the points on the board. They went and talked about it, they reviewed it, and all of a sudden, hey, take the points off the board, you back them up, and Michigan's able to skate away and get away with one there.
Yeah, Indiana backed them up to the 25-yard line. They took a couple shots at the end zone. First at Jamon Green, good in coverage. Later at DJ Turner, also good in coverage. Led to a field goal. We were tied at 10. All right, let's go to Rod Moore's interception. This came just after Yabi Oki, batted down a pass. Rod Moore was the man in the right spot here to get this interception, his second of the season.
Oki's frustrated because he thought he was going to have that interception. Rod Moore does a great job putting himself in position, and it actually is caused by Oki because he puts a hand up, gets in the quarterback's face, makes him pump it, and then he doesn't see Rod Moore. Still thinks his receiver's going to be out there. Right place, right time for Moore.
Wolverines made a couple more plays defensively, including a Jalen Harrell tackle for loss. And then later, Mikey Sainristil, it's been a great transition to defense. Right at the right time, knocks the ball free on this pass.
Oh, he has been unbelievable defensively, and I think some of that is that transition of coming over. And talk to Steve Clinkscale, his knowledge of what a wide receiver is trying to do to him. That's what he's been doing since he's been at Michigan. Now he's on the other side, and he's putting himself in great position on a lot of these plays.
Right before the half, Mike Morris gets the big paw up and blocks the field goal. We saw 2 short field goals blocked today.
I know, and back-to-back, and 126 yards, 127 yards. You don't see that often, but obviously Michigan going into halftime, getting that block was huge.
It was 10-10 at the half. We'll have second half action when we continue. You're watching Inside Michigan Football. Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by Meijer, presenting sponsor of the 2022 Michigan football season and proud supporter of hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. It was 10-10 at the half as we continue here on Inside Michigan Football. Doug Karsch, John Jansen. The Wolverines force a punt on Indiana's first possession of the second half. Junior Colson with a big play and a sack.
Well, Coach Harbaugh said coming out of half, hey, they need to control the line of scrimmage. Junior Colson able to do that, obviously by putting pressure on the quarterback, big sack. But when you get a chance to force a team coming out of halftime at a 3-and-out, we've seen this throughout the course of the last couple of years. This team needs to start fast, whether it's the beginning of the game, beginning of the second half, and a 3-and-out will get it done.
Wolverines, unfortunately, were backed up to their own 2-yard line after being offsides on a punt. Indiana got the repunt and they downed it. So Michigan looking at 98 yards of field, and this was a big play, a third down reception to Ronnie Bell, who outran some defenders to get the first down.
Well, whenever you get backed up, the first thing you want to do is get outside the shadow of your goalpost so you give your punter room. Obviously, if you're able to keep this drive going, it's going to eat up the clock. You're going to be able to get some confidence going down the field, and this pass to Ronnie Bell is one of those plays, whether it was a first down, second down, third down, Michigan was really good in this drive of converting those.
Andrell Anthony got involved in the pass game. This catch over the middle for 17 yards.
Well, Andrell Anthony, we saw him come alive today, whether it was in the run game and being able to block downfield, being able to get, we saw it last week, a nice pass from J.J. McCarthy. This week, 2 catches. He's really starting to become a bigger part of this offense. 3rd and 7, here's J.J. in the face of a blitz, making it happen with his feet and moving the chain. It's so frustrating for defenses when you have a quarterback that can escape, a near sack situation, get out and make a first down to keep a drive going. It's, we've seen him do it with his arm, and now we're seeing him doing it with his legs. That is what makes him so dangerous.
So here's a big play. Cornelius Johnson on the crossing pattern with the catch, and then outruns everyone to the pylon to give Michigan a 17-10 lead.
Couldn't be happier to see him get in the end zone, because earlier in the drive there was a wide open pass to him where he dropped it. Now all of a sudden, hey, JJ does a great job of getting him lined up, comes in motion, comes across, and we talked about with Jason Avant during the game, their timing of this route. It shows the growth of J.J. McCarthy. It also shows Cornelius Johnson with the ability to recover, having that short-term memory, and then making a play to get in the end zone.
That capped off a 98-yard touchdown drive. Michigan led it by 7. Let's go to the fourth quarter. This was a big play. Luke Schoonmaker gets his paws underneath it and corrals this one on a play that got overturned and put Michigan into Indiana territory.
Yeah, when you watched it at game speed, you could see why they would call it as an incompletion. Then all of a sudden you slow it down, and even at that time it was hard, but got his hands underneath it, was able to roll over on it, and thank goodness for white gloves, because you just saw that little sliver under there that told the officials, hey, this is a catch.
Blake Corman, look at the move in the hole to make a man tackle a ghost.
I tell you what, there's a lot of guys that have gone through this, and there's going to be a lot more that have to deal with it. They go to make a tackle, they think they've got him all wrapped up, and he's just nowhere to be found.
Luke Schoonmaker had 2 touchdown receptions a year ago against Indiana. Here he gets into the end zone. Good blocking from Michigan wide receivers. We've been a broken record with that all season long.
Hey, that's why Michigan is having success offensively. Yeah, they've had a good rhythm on offense. They've been able to run the ball, but if you're going to get explosive plays, you've got to be able to block downfield. And how about Schooney? A little athleticism, a little agility down the field to get in the end zone.
Derek Moore, the Michigan defense, gets a stop here. This was their 6th sack of the day. Indiana, critical possessions. They actually went backwards, which set up the Michigan offense with a short field.
You're going to hear a lot about Derek Moore in the course of his career. He's young, he's got a great get-off, uses his hands well, and right here, he just uses his speed to get on the edge of the tackle and then force his way to the quarterback.
The Wolverines looking to salt it away. Some good hard running from Blake Corman, Donovan Edwards, and you being an old offensive lineman, you love seeing the 2 smokestacks blowing and them just
rolling downhill. Number 2, number 7, both trains. Hey, destination end zone.
And that's where the Wolverines ended up. Here's a quick pass to Cornelius Johnson, and this gave Michigan a 31-10 lead. CJ, 2 touchdowns today.
It was a great performance by him, and this is something that we've wanted to see from him. We didn't see much from him the last couple of games, and it's not because of any other reason than, hey, when you make plays, defenses are going to account for you. He was quiet for a couple of games. Now all of a sudden today, they found him, and J.J. McCarthy, to be able to go from reads 1, 2, and 3, I thought he did a great job today, and Cornelius Johnson was the benefit of that.
All right, Braden McGregor's sack here finished off Indiana. The Wolverines get the win. 263 yards in the second half for Michigan, 29 for Indiana. 31-10, the final. Scary moment in this game when Michigan running back coach Mike Hart collapsed on the Wolverines sideline, taken to a local hospital for observation. You talked to Coach Harbaugh about it. We'll hear from that a little bit later on, but that was part of the adversity this team had to overcome.
Yeah, and a beloved member of the team, coaching staff, and obviously the Michigan community with what he did on the field here, now coming back as a coach, especially here in Bloomington. He coached here before he came back to Michigan, so there's a lot of people in the stands and on both sidelines that love Mike Hart. Obviously we're going to keep an eye on what is going, but thoughts and prayers are to him, to his family, as we try and figure this all out.
Speedy recovery for Coach Hart. And we'll hear Jim Harbaugh talk about Mike Hart and this win over Indiana. That is next here on Inside Michigan Football.
We knew they were going to give us everything they had. Who wouldn't? We're the number 4 team. Great defense, great offense. Some minor things we need to fix, but other than that, we balled out, came out the second half with a great game plan, and finished the job.
This is a Big Ten football game. I mean, it's always going to be tough, especially on the road, too. So us coming in here in their building, I'm glad we're all able to come together because it was tied up going into halftime. So we came in here and took care of business. We knew coming in the second half, we were going to have to lock in. It's going to come down to us and just be ready. I'm glad we were able to win.
We feel like we should have played better. A win is a win, though, but, we got to come a lot prepared for next week. And, yeah, I mean, can't get mad at a win, but it was a humbling win, I'll say.
Today's conversation with Jim Harbaugh is brought to you by Meijer.
The number one thing on everybody's mind is Mike Hart. What can you share with us about his condition and where he's at?
Yeah, so during the game, Mike had an medical emergency, and he is under evaluation right now, but he's in stable condition, and he's going to stay overnight here and for further evaluation.
Well, it's tough to make that transition. Obviously, thoughts and prayers are with him. But then you start thinking about this game. How would you characterize this game that you guys had today? It's a win, but how would you characterize it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, talking about Mike and his health, and all prayers go to him. Really puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the football game, I thought there was some really phenomenal play. 7 sacks and 10 tackles for loss, moving the ball, 98-yard drive off our own 2-yard line. They were dedicated to stopping the run today, and J.J. McCarthy and the receivers and the offensive line, the protection was really good. But they were dedicated to stopping the run, and we were able to take advantage of some things in the passing game. I would characterize this as, we were probably playing good Michigan football about 3/4 of the time today, and some silly penalties, some missed assignments, some mistakes that stopped ourselves or gave them some cheap yardage. So I think this will keep us humble and back to work as we get ready for this big game against Penn State.
A couple of topics offensively. Obviously, Blake Corman starts off the game with the 50-yard run. How important was it to start fast but also explosive with Blake Corman?
Yeah, it's something the team's doing well. We want to continue that going. It's starting fast. Blake, he had a really good day. Again, they were dedicated to stopping the run, and he still was able to make some terrific plays. I'm a believer. He may be the best in the country. This may be a Heisman type of year. So you're only at the halfway mark, but I can't be more impressed with Blake Corman and the way he's running the football.
Well, especially at the end of the game when you guys started to wear him down, the offensive line was wearing him down, and J.J. McCarthy, a very efficient day, over 300 yards passing. I think it was 28 of 34, very efficient.
Even come, see the young quarterback come of age today. I thought in pressure situations, tight ball game, and where he really couldn't lead on the run game, had to have the passing game, and came through for us.
Tough defensive performance. Obviously 7 sacks. Indiana moved the ball a little bit in the first half. Second half, what were some of the adjustments that you guys were able to make?
Yeah, we'd play the perimeter tighter. I mean, they were leading out a lot of yards with the perimeter screens. And just the tighter the coverage got, the better. It allowed our guys to get home, and the pass rush just kept coming. We'll move on with humble hearts on this one. Great to have the win, and just continue to pray for Mike Hart's full recovery. I have all the faith in the world in Mike Hart.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
This week's Elrose Steelman of the Week is Yabi Oki. The first-year Wolverine had an all-encompassing stat line: a sack, a shared TFL, a quarterback hit, and 2 pass breakups from his edge position, including one he would surely like to have back as he continues to grow with this defense.
I'm just blessed for the opportunity, you understand what I'm saying? Like, every day of practice, I really try to, get better at something. Because when we practice so hard, the games is the reward. And, that's the result.
As has been the case all year, this was a true team effort on D. 7 different Wolverines getting sacks on a day when the offense needed a pick-me-up.
We complement each other, so when one of us is slacking, the other really pushes us up and really pushes us forward. So sometimes we'll be stumbling, the offense helps carry us, just like vice versa. We really complement each other, so whenever we start kicking some butt, the other side, starts flowing off that, they start doing their thing.
It's always good to, get those road wins, those gritty road wins. It's always good, especially, knowing that we got a lot to work on. Like, it's always good, coming out with a win and being able to improve.
Let's talk offense. Blake Corman with 124 yards, and with the numbers he's putting up, he's creeping into some Heisman conversations among the national leaders in rushing touchdowns, scoring, and rushing yards. And as we found out earlier this week, much the way Blake deflects defenders, he deflects the praise as well.
One thing I'm not going to do is act like it's all me, because I'll tell you what, everyone is blocking their butt off every time I get the ball, whether it be the O-line killing it, coming off the ball, firing off the ball, tight ends killing it, receivers killing it. So, man, I tell you, everyone has made my job so much easier. It's unbelievable.
He's just electric. Like, if you get him in one-on-one situations, like we put a hat on the hat and force him to beat his man, like he always like 99% of the time he's gonna make a cut to beat his man. That's what makes him special.
He's one of the, if not the hardest worker, one of the hardest workers on the team, and he's faster, he's stronger, he's smarter. He's just doing everything at such a high level right now.
Just allowed me to be able to use what God gave me, my cutting ability, my vision, and things like that. So when they drive out the ball and open those holes, giving me those one-on-one matchups, now it's up to me.
If Corum keeps stacking those stats and those W's, that Heisman conversation will only amplify. For Inside Michigan Football, I'm Ed Kingerski.
How about Blake Corman? He is having a fantastic year.
He's got to be in the conversation for Heisman. It's become a quarterback award, but when you start talking about running backs, he's got the numbers, he's got the moments. You talk about the third down or the fourth down against Maryland. You talk about what he was able to do against Iowa. I mean, this team is where they are, and the success that they're having in large part because of the moments and the determination of Blake Corman.
Well, we'll see more of Blake Corman next week when the Wolverines take on Penn State. You're watching Inside Michigan Football. Welcome back to Inside Michigan Football. Next Saturday, the Wolverines host Penn State, and we're asking all fans to unify Michigan Stadium by wearing maize. Saturday is going to be a special day in Ann Arbor. The Lloyd Carr Tunnel will be dedicated, and we're going to celebrate the 1997 National Championship team as they will be celebrating their 25th anniversary. Maize out always looks great in the big house. And then there's the 25th reunion for your national championship team. I know you're looking forward to this. One of the quarterbacks from that team's still playing in the NFL, Tom Brady, so he won't be able to make it back. But you guys, I know you're going to have fun.
We're going to have a great time. We got the quarterback, Brian Griese, coaching in the NFL. Tom's still playing. It's always great to see those guys, but it's going to be even better to see the guys that are able to come back for this reunion. What a great moment. It's been such a big part of my life, and I know it's been a big part of of Michigan fans' lives, and to be able to have that moment in the big house, and to also, dedicate the tunnel. The Lloyd Carr Tunnel is going to be a huge moment for us as well.
Yeah, people, if you see these guys when they get together, they all fall back into their old roles. You become captain of the team.
It's disappointing little Tommy won't be there.
Is that what you call him, little Tommy? Well, we'll have a recap of that next week on Inside Michigan Football. We'll also look back at the Penn State game. We'll see you then. Inside Michigan Football is brought to you by Meijer, presenting sponsor of the 2022 Michigan football season and proud supporter of hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest.